Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and we're back to talk more Better Call Saul. Season 5, we're on episode 6. It is called Wexler v. Goodman. But before we get started, I want to talk about something that you guys probably aren't aware of. Maybe some of you are. It is a little incident that happened last week involving one of my other videos. So, just a little backstory quickly. And I don't want to bore anybody with this, but I feel compelled. A little bit. Because my videos for Better Call Saul, I enjoy doing quite a bit. Probably more than anything I do right now. But I also work a 40-hour plus a week job. So it leaves me little time to really polish and learn more about YouTube and what I can do on the platform. And I've tried lots of times, and it's still a learning process for me, getting all the different things that I want to do on the channel done. And that includes making thumbnails. Don't know how to make my own. Bad at it, tried it, whatever. I do all my thumbnails pretty much off of Google search. So apparently what happened was a couple of weeks ago, and not apparently, see, when I go look for these things, also, let's be clear, I have a small channel and I choose not to monetize, okay, so I can continue to do things my way. And my only criteria really, I'll look for things, I'll pull shots, like people put clips from things that they want to put in their videos, say for Better Call Saul. Well, the picture I took from Google search was a really cool looking, like I thought was a AMC promo picture, because it had the Better Call Saul logo was really nice. The letters kind of reminded me of like something that AMC would put out. But I didn't know was that this was somebody who let's be clear, they took a still from Better Call Saul. And they took that still and they put a little Better Call Saul logo in there, and they put a little Howard meets Saul picture. So they added to someone else's property, AMC's, they took that image that AMC owns, and then they put a logo and a little sign on it, and then made a thumbnail. I saw that thumbnail thinking it was from AMC, or, you know, like it really looked professional, which I want to say right away. Very well done. That's why I picked it. I was like, dang, man, if I didn't know any better, I'd say this was from the studio, like for promo stills. But it turns out it wasn't. It turns out that this thumbnail that has a still owned by AMC was made, the logo and the wording part was made by another YouTuber, and they made that part of the thumbnail, and they made that for one of their videos. I was not aware of that, and that is my fault, that I didn't notice that someone from another YouTube channel took a still that they don't own the image for Better Call Saul, and then they added their own little touch to that still that's owned by AMC. A couple weeks go by, maybe a little less, and I get a notification from this person that I stole their thumbnail and that I owe them an apology and I should be taking it down right away. It's not cool, man, is one of the things I believe it said. First, when I realized that I took somebody else's thumbnail that they took from AMC and then added their thing, I was mortified, because I've got a lot of anxiety and I don't have a lot of time to put these videos together. And when I realized that I took something that somebody else took and then made it their own, I changed it right away. That was no problem changing it at all. It was the phrasing that this person used to describe it, and the tone. Tone in text is very hard to decipher sometimes. But this one was very clear. And they felt wronged. And they felt like they were owed an apology for stealing their thumbnail. Well, first, like I said, it was not on purpose, and anyone who knows me knows I would not do that to another YouTuber. I did a little digging. I wanted to check out who was accusing me of this thing that I did. You know? And it's a person who mainly looks like does, when they're into one thing, they're doing that one thing, and right now that one thing is Better Call Saul. They also have about 8.49 thousand subscribers, which is significantly higher than me, and I only am assuming that they monetize. I'm one of the few who, chooses not to, I think, because I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for the fun of it and the passion for it. But, so I checked out their stuff, and it just wasn't for me. It's fine, which, it doesn't hurt the community to have another voice talking about Better Call Saul, especially one that apparently a lot of people do like to listen to, which, that's what you like, that's what you like. My problem was how I was being talked to, as if, and maybe this happens to people all the time, other people trying to purposely rip off other people on YouTube for profit. But see, I don't make money off this. This is just, I found a really cool picture. I thought, wow, I would love to have this as a thumbnail, and I used it. And like I said, in retrospect, I was mortified that I found out that I accidentally took something that somebody else took. Because see, that's how I feel about this, is that it's an honest mistake and I changed it. But then that person posted my stuff on Twitter. And then I really took exception. Because first off, this person just didn't say, could have done this a little bit more professionally. And while, maybe you're king dingling over there with your 8.49 thousand subscribers, and good, like I said, good on you, man. But not everybody out there is trying to just rip people off. But, so there was not going to be any apology. But this is me saying, yes, I took somebody's thumbnail that I was not aware that was theirs, used it for mine. Reiterate that everything we use on these, like from me putting this up here behind me, do I own this? I bought the episode, but does that mean I own the rights to what's being shown here? No, I don't. So technically, what I'm doing is stealing. Did I get permission from AMC? No. Did the person who made those thumbnails and put all the Better Call Saul clips inside their videos, did they ask for permission to do it? Have they been talking to AMC saying, hey, can I please use your clips and stuff without your permission? I'm just going to keep doing it. And so, in a lot of ways, what we all do, a lot of us do on YouTube, like putting GIFs and memes and little pictures, we don't own any of that stuff. We're taking it from other things. The people who actually can, create things for YouTube, like really create, not just editing a bunch of stuff together with whatever computer you have, it's still taking it. And so I took something from someone, and I'm admitting that I did it, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for not being more careful at how I pick my pictures for YouTube videos. But I will not apologize to someone who thinks they're owed an apology for taking something that's not theirs when we're all, when we use these images, taking something from someone else. And when you get a whole bunch of likes and views and everything like that, it probably doesn't even come through your head that that's what you're doing. So pot calling the kettle black a little bit. When you think about it down to it. And maybe that's the Jimmy way of thinking of it. That, hey, if everybody's doing it, why can't I too? But I will work very hard to make sure that I'm not taking somebody else's thing that they took for their video, so that I don't step on anybody's toes. So anyway, wow, I've talked about 10 minutes about this, and I had no intention of talking this long about this. So let's talk about Wexler versus Goodman. All right. So, it's a very good way for this show to start off with showing Kim's sense of right and wrong. That she's sitting out here left alone, and it's a pretty scary kind of situation. I admit that it was like when you're a kid and you're left alone and it's nighttime and cars are going by, you don't know what's going to happen. And so you're already scared and you're already worried, and then finally your ride shows up. And in her case, it's her mother, and in her mother's case, she had been at a bar. And so now she wants to take her child home from school after drinking at a bar, and this sounds like this happens all the time. And, you know, it's not just getting into the car that she's having a problem with. It's like you're breaking the law. She's not telling her mother she's breaking the law, but she's telling her by not getting into the car, like how her mother might see it as just being rebellious. She's taking a stand on what's right and wrong, and getting in that car with her would be wrong, and her mother driving that car would be wrong, but she knows she's not going to win that argument, so she walks home. It shows that she'll stick to her guns, even if it's someone she loves. Which is kind of like what happens in this, where it's Jimmy versus Kim in the end, and them having to make their decisions on the future of their relationship based on what happens in this episode. I do love the classic Mesa Verde commercial that they use. I believe that's Jay Johnston, who plays the senior Mesa Verde, you know, the Wachell. He worked with Bob Odenkirk on Mr. Show with Bob and David. So he's also like a stand-up comedian, knows him from like 20 plus years ago. So it's kind of cool to see him in this kind of like John Wayne-esque kind of figure that's the bigger-than-life guy from back then, who they were all like Marlboro men still. They were still trying to pretend that they were cowboys and not just businessmen looking to, you know, take as much money as they could. So I really do dig that commercial and how that gets played later on. Meanwhile, Jimmy's crusade to keep protecting Mr. Acker and fighting Mesa Verde keeps getting bigger and bigger. And now he wants to make a series of commercials, basically like he did for the old people about losing, you know, having their money being taken from the retirement home. And Kim shows up, and I do love this scene, this sequence of him showing the actors 5, 4, 3, 2 magic, you know, all the different ways that this was going to play out. Kim shows up though and finally says, like, look, Rich is on to me, I think. Rich knows what's going on. We have to stop this. Can we stop this? Let's just take, here's $75,000. I'll kick in the rest. Like, that's how badly she wants this to be over, because she's scared for her career. She's scared for Jimmy. You know, all this could fall apart in a second. She's willing to throw money out of her own pocket. When he hears that part, you think that, like, look, we know where this is still going. When he says, fine, we'll back off. He's just Mr. He's going to do this, but he can't help himself. He wants to make her happy, but he can't let go. He is Saul Goodman. The person who is Jimmy just keeps getting chipped away a little bit further the more and more he sees how much all this works for him. And so, like her mom, you know, she's trying to help him. And the best thing about the scene was that she stayed to clean up. I think that if her character knew that if she left, he'd just go right on making that commercial. But by being there, by getting in between him and the cameras and everything that's there, it actually makes him stop. What's he going to do? Admit to her in this moment that has really no intention of not going forward, and he'll look for any excuse to get right back into it. So, yeah. So meanwhile, here we've kind of caught up. Where Nacho lays it out for Gus about Lalo, and everything that he's been doing. Ripping off the dealers, talking about ripping off his trucks, going to his restaurants, messing with the customers, making them sick. So Nacho tells Mike, because now Mike is going to be the guy that handles Nacho and the rest of this stuff. and tells Mike, look, I think he can tell that Mike isn't completely like Gus by telling him, do you know who these guys are? They've got a gun to my dad's head. Like, you might know that I jumped into this with both feet and eyes wide open, but my dad didn't. And they're threatening my family. I need you to know this. And you can see the look on Mike's face where it's just like, oh. Like, you can't tell really 100% which way Mike is leaning, because he just kind of got back into this, and now he, realizing still deep down what Gus Fring really is, and still working with him, it's just another thing. And so you can tell that Mike wants to do something about this. Mike would probably try to help Nacho at least save his own family, but they have to take care of Lalo before they can do any of that. So he has to wait. But Mike, the PI, right? This is where we get to see him be the guy that he'll be in Breaking Bad for Gus and for like people like Saul Goodman, where it's time to start building the case on Lalo. So he, finds this woman that had been across the street, or had seen where he killed the clerk and set the whole place on fire at the travel wire. He gets her to finally convince that she saw the car. He uses the whole thing, I'm here from the family, we just want to like get justice for this, really playing that side of it up, so that she finally, even hesitatingly so, all right, she's feeling for him, feeling for the family that doesn't really, he's not there for them. But he sells it enough to where she has that moment of, I'll just say what he wants me to say. I don't think she remembers any of this clearly, and a judge probably could rip it apart, or a good lawyer could probably rip this up in court. But she says that she saw the car. And then he asks her to tell the cops and not to mention him. And then it starts to get like more mired into, cops don't want anybody messing with your stuff and their cases. And they don't like private investigators sticking their nose in. And so she has to tell them. And I mean, I love it. He's basically like, well, you can call him right now. Really kind of jamming her up. Really making her feel obligated, because now that she said that she will and that this is true and blah, blah, blah. Hammer it home. So they get the whole thing with Acker settling, and everybody's starting to get happy. And this is where Kim apologizes to Rich, that she knows that this needed to stop. She still feels like she should have stayed on the case, but she apologizes to Rich, who is like, I hate to say it because he's a lawyer, and that he's gonna, as a lawyer, he's gonna do things as a character that you won't like for the people around us, but he's trying to be a good person to her, trying to save face and make sure that morale and everything is cool by going to lunch with her. It's not just for his benefit, it's for hers, it's for the whole company's. And it's like Rich really cares about his place. I don't think Rich is a bad guy. I think he's a lawyer, a good one. And it's very interesting to see, like, as most people, like, when they talk about lawyers in the cliche for TV and movies, it's they're a lawyer, like. But I like that they show the human side of people that we might not normally like, or sides of them that we wouldn't like all the time. Okay, so Howard and Cliff. Okay, they bring Ed Begley Jr. back, which is always great, as Jimmy's old boss. And Jimmy hires 2 prostitutes that he just got off of whatever they were doing. Probably prostituting. And he gets them to go to the restaurant that Howard and Cliff are having lunch at and embarrass him in front of Cliff, talking about how he owes them, that Howard owes them money. They're going to get their pimp involved. And again, it's just Jimmy looking from afar, just messing with Howard. Almost like, I feel like his treatment of Howard comes from this, like, I think it's a place of guilt. I don't think, I think that Howard's proposal and everything reminds him of like Chuck and things like that. I kind of feel like he's taking things out on Howard. Like, just really immaturely. I think there's more to just picking on Howard than he just doesn't like Howard. Um, so that just keeps going on, but that also, like, him messing around gets him, you know, gets that feeling of, like, going after Kevin again, like, going back on what he said to Kim, that they were going to stop. And he tracks down the Bitsui, the person with the picture, the thing with the logo that's of Mesa Verde. You know, so they finally pile on the evidence for Lalo. The cops get a thing in the mail showing that the car that left, that did the hit and run, they have everything tied to him now. And let's just cover the rest of that. So Lalo gets stopped by the cops. They completely have him set up, and he goes to jail, at least for now. The big scene is Kim and Jimmy and everybody else doing the settlement scene, where they go in there thinking it's a slam dunk. Kim goes in there thinking this is all over. And Jimmy says that he wants $4 million for pain and suffering. And Kim's look, like Kevin's sitting there being Kevin, like that silent rage building inside him. Paige is confused. So is Viola. Rich, I don't know if Rich is even in the room. Yeah, Rich is in the room, and he's probably just he just sees Jimmy as who he is, the shyster who's trying to get something out for nothing. And Kim just is looking confused and betrayed. More and more confusion, like, oh, what are you doing? I can't believe you're going back on this. So, look at her eyes when she's looking at Jimmy. She is acting the fuck out of the scene. Because she's gauging Jimmy, like, is this a play? Are you playing with me? Where are you going with this? Are you really doing this? Look in her eyes. It's amazing. It's so subtle, but it's there. Well, Jimmy put together those trash ads, and they're hilarious. They're the typical, have you been blankety blanked and by this company? Well, you might be entitled to a such and such and such and such. And they keep, they use hey, guess what Jimmy's using? Jimmy, pre-YouTube, is using a film that somebody else made and using it for his video. Wow, we go all the way around. Where now Jimmy's taking somebody's property that's filmed and then putting some of his own stuff on it. Now, is Jimmy stealing? Anyway. I didn't even know I was going to say that. So he puts all these videos up, basically different things that he can do to slow Mesa Verde down. And then to the point where everybody's arguing in the room and Jimmy leaves. Kim's perplexed. They have the whole thing with the picture that he says, like, she wants a certain amount of money. And finally Kevin finds Jimmy in the parking garage. And Jimmy basically asks for just the $45,000, an apology, and $200,000 for the lady with the image. He backs down on everything. And I think it's just because he wanted to get it over on Kevin. This wasn't about screwing Kim over. It was just having a big man like Kevin Wachtel from the bank, come down to him in private and say, what do you want? You got it. I think that was the biggest thing for him. And so with the big blow up at the end, this was the part that differs from how she handles her mother, which was she just stayed outside the car. And in this, it's a huge moment for Kim because she stays she's in the car right now. If the metaphor, we want to keep going with it. She says we should end this or get married. Now that was a little bit of a, man, okay, one extreme or another. But it's about how she's still trying to stay with him when she should be leaving. She should be taking the same stance that she did with her mother, but with Jimmy, she's still giving him an out. She's still saying that it's okay. And this again, that the mistakes that she's making here, instead of walking away, this was her moment. This was her time to go. And she stays, or she leaves that door open for Jimmy to, I'll clean up my, like, even when he can't look at her in the eye and tell her that this was the last time it'll ever happen, she still says, well, then we should just get married. So, boy, has Jimmy become like the major blind spot for Kim Wexler, and it's just gonna be interesting to see how this all really falls apart, because it's not sustainable. So anyway, fantastic character stuff in this episode, and again, a lot of things building up to what I think is going to be a fantastic finale. We've only got 4 more episodes left, and this is chalking up to be a pretty damn good season all around. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, and remember, everybody, try not to take things from any other people, especially if you're going to make some money off of it. Or maybe, ask permission. I don't know. But I don't know. That's how I'm going to end this. I tried not to, I don't think I mentioned this person by name, but that's my last word on it. So I'll see you guys on episode 7. Bye.